Vanessa Perez, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Laredo, and Council Member for District 7.
And District 7, Council Member, includes the Colombia Bridge, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Right. Well, it has the two trade bridges, World Trade and Colombia. So.
Specifically about Colombia, because we learned last week, and it may have been common knowledge up here in Laredo, but Mr. Elon Musk, the owner of Tesla, who's building his EV plant in Monterrey, wants a dedicated lane. And then we learned also, I think it's John Deere as well, they want a dedicated lane at Colombia, and I hadn't heard anything like this before. So what can you tell us?
Well, it's just to show that we do expedited lanes all the time. We have fast lane programs. We have the AVI program. We have a great relationship with Mexico. We have dual inspections. This is actually the only bridge in the country that does this dual cold inspection. So, and actually Colombia Bridge is very popular for cold, importing and exporting of cold products. And so it's not uncommon for us to say Tesla products coming through here will be expedited. So it's just like our way of showing that we're committed to making sure that their products get in and out quickly.
Is it fair to say that the Colombia Bridge really hasn't been that busy compared to the bridges here downtown Laredo, and it's sort of been underutilized over the years?
It's fair to say that, yes, and it's mostly because of the proximity. The downtown bridges are pedestrians, and so World Trade and Colombia are our trade bridges, and so World Trade is a little bit closer, and that's why it gets more volume, but we do have a lot more traffic. Colombia is actually the second busiest bridge in the country, so it's actually very busy, but not as busy as World Trade.
That probably doesn't get that much attention that it's the second busiest.
No.
And it's in your district.
Yes. And it adds to our standing as the number one port. Recently, Laredo became the number one port, land, air, and sea, and before we were only inland, so we see a lot of volume of trucks.
So when did you hear, how long ago was it that you heard that the governor of Nuevo León wants to put extra emphasis on this because he wants to work well with Tesla and get that highway from Monterrey to the bridge, make sure the trucks move seamlessly? How long ago did this all sort of percolate?
Well, it's been kind of buzzing around for the past year at least, but he has made the commitment. He's not all talk, he's action. He's put the money for it, he's moving, they're moving dirt, they're working on it. The speed that he has executed his vision is amazing, because with bureaucracy, everything takes so long, but Nuevo León has been able to get a lot done in a short period of time. So kudos to them for making this work. And it's important to have that infrastructure, it's important to have that connection, and we're committed on our end to moving these products quickly also.
Does Texas have to replicate that in any way in terms of the route from the bridge to I-35? Is that road okay for now?
That road is well built. Yeah, it's fully built out. In some areas it needs to be widened, and I know that we're working on expanding on our end as well.
So it's fair to say at the state level here in Texas, people are aware of what's coming down.
Yes. We're asking. Of course, there's never enough funding, so of course we're pushing for more support and more funding from the state, from the federal government, but it's there. We have the support, we have the attention right now, and we just want to make sure that we can do our part and keep up with, helping up the economy with keeping prices low, the supply chain issues, not having products get caught up in Laredo, and move them in and out as quickly as possible. That's what we try to do every day.
Are there any projections as to how big that Colombia Bridge could be once the Tesla plant is up and running?
Oh, well, I know that we're talking about expanding it now. We had been talking about expanding World Trade Bridge for probably a decade. Now we're starting to talk about expanding Colombia, and we had never talked about that before. So we're starting these conversations, and at the speed that Nuevo León is working and the governor, Garcia, is I can, I wouldn't be surprised if we got that expansion before the World Trade Bridge expansion, because, I know on our end there's bureaucracy at the, government level, at the federal level, but they're ready to go, and they've got the money and they're ready to go. So if we can get both expansions going at the same time, if whichever one comes in first, whichever one we get the permission for, but we're committed on our end to doing whatever we need to do to help Colombia Bridge.
So I understand with the Tesla lane, dedicated lane at the bridge, those trucks are just going to speed right on through. They'll have been checked, inspected at their factory, at their plant in Monterrey, so they go straight through. So does that have any impact on your thoughts on industrial development around the Colombia Bridge? Will there be more warehousing?
Oh, yeah.
Logistics?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and Colombia Bridge is kind of the border of Laredo. So north of that is the county, right? It's in our ETJ. So we're looking at development that's going on there, and there's a lot of investors that are starting to get excited about what this corridor could look like. And right now, if you go out there, there's not a lot of development. But we're expanding our cold storage. We have a lot of investment going on out there, so it's exciting.
Okay, so now let's broaden it to Laredo as a whole and your other bridges. As I understand it, you're looking to get a permit together for a brand new bridge on the south side of Laredo, and you're expanding World Trade Center Bridge. It just seems there's just so much growth happening here. There is,
yes. We are looking at a site in the south, but right now it looks like the location that's been identified over the years is a little bit outside of Laredo's jurisdiction. So we're not really sure logistically how that's going to work out for us as the city, because it's more of a county project. But definitely would expand down there. I know there's been kind of concerns about the way that the growth has impacted our city as far as congestion and lack of infrastructure in the Mines Road area and the FM 1472 corridor because of the pushing of the industrial traffic that way. And I think the people in the south are a little concerned about how that's going to play out as far as developing everything that needs to be developed. So we have a lot of work to do to make sure that we don't replicate the congestion issues that we have and we still need to work on fixing the corridor that we have right now. So I think our focus citywide is to expand, and then the South Bridge would be more of a county project. But for me, growth in the city, in the corridor, in the the area, the region, is all good.
As a leader in Laredo and with your colleagues on the council, what do you put all this growth down to? What is happening in Mexico that's causing these projections to just keep upping and upping the numbers that you're going to be getting? What's causing all this?
Oh, it's the nearshoring trend, right? There was during COVID, it highlighted for us how difficult it was to get products transported via across the sea, right? And so I think what we're seeing now is that investors in China, Chinese companies, foreign companies in other continents that would ship their products via sea are starting to say it might be better to just be closer and then just go the land route and the truck route. And so they're starting to set up shop in Mexico closer, because we've always had this relationship with Mexico where American companies, they'll manufacture in Mexico, but then you also have requirements to construct portions of your product in the United States, and I know President Trump had increased that requirement. So what we're seeing, a lot of companies having to increase how much of their product is actually assembled in the United States. So we're starting to see companies set up shop here to fulfill that requirement of the assembly. So they'll manufacture in Mexico, they'll ship it to Laredo, add that extra assembly component, ship it back to Mexico, and then ship it to their final destination. So it's kind of a combination of a lot of different factors, but there's also the supply chain issue. You know, we saw inflation in the country. We're seeing inflation at record levels, and there's a desire to curb that. You know, people are struggling with high prices, and I mean, during COVID with the pandemic, we saw that, I mean, right now concrete, the price of concrete's up, the price of a lot of products are up. So the closer they are to home, the faster they can get there, right? So I think that's kind of the trend going on right now, is there's a lot of nearshoring, bringing companies into Mexico, and then from Mexico to ship to the United States. And so
do you think there's a general understanding that people as a whole in Laredo understand just how much growth is projected to come and how fast how big this community is going to grow? Do people realize that what the projections are?
I don't think it's hit us exactly that hard yet. You know, I know definitely in my district the people are feeling it because of the congestion issues. You know, if you live on the Mines Road, there were neighborhoods that were there before all the World Trade Bridge was there, and so now the traffic is in their front yard basically, and they're kind of struggling with that. But I don't think we're ready for rapid growth because we do need support. Like, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the space in some, you know, we need like better land use policies because we don't want our city to become all concrete and asphalt. We have people that live here. We need quality of life. We need green space. We need parks. And Laredo is medically underserved. We have a lot of, you know, people that have economic disadvantages here, of a lot of people that don't speak English. So we don't want to exploit our city at the expense of trade. So we have to figure out how to grow, but grow in a way that balances, where sometimes we have to say no to certain requests for development because it's just gonna negatively impact the people that live there. And those are tough decisions to make, to say no to somebody who's willing to invest money. But we have been trying our best to accommodate the needs. And so I think that anybody who wants to invest in Laredo will find a way somewhere here we can make their idea work out.
I've heard like the word tsunami used for what could be coming to Laredo. You're one of the fastest growing communities.
I think tsunami's a little scary. I'm not scared of the growth. I just want to make sure we have the tools in place to manage it properly. I think if we have a good plan and we have good policies in place, we'll be able to accommodate, because Laredo has done phenomenal in the little resources that we do have to accommodate the growth that we have right now. So we're very resilient. We're a great community. The people are amazing, and we work together, and we have very good coalitions and teams. And the heart of Laredo, I mean, we're the third safest city in the country also. So at the same time, we're a border city. We're very safe. We're growing quickly, but it's all to the heart of the people, really.
Well, Commissioner, Councilmember, those are all the questions I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'd just like to say that, you know, Laredo is here to work with anybody who wants to work with us as well. We're open for business and we're open for discussion. And we look forward to getting more positive attention from our policymakers so they can see that an investment in Laredo is an investment in the country. Because if we can move our goods faster, it lowers the price for everybody else. So if you want to, you know, if you want like your prices to come down on your products that you go find at your stores that have to come through Laredo, help us, you know, help us with this growth so we can get the products to you quicker.
Yeah, especially if they're perishable goods like the ones coming from Colombia.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
today's interview.
Of course.